Hey, this is Kamen Rider Stray and this is ThatokuChannel, bringing you once again content from your favorite Toku series. We all love Kamen Riders, the fancy effects, the catchphrases, the weird antics, and the catchy theme songs. But even more than that, we all love to hate our villains, agents of chaos, corrupted, arrogant, you name it and you are probably gonna find it. But today, we are not talking about these guys. We are talking about these guys. Let's be honest, technically speaking, the original Kamen Riders were specifically designed to be evil. Therefore, what better way to recall that than making a list of the top 10 most evil Kamen Riders? But first, here's some ground rules. First, this ranking will account how malicious each of these characters are. However, powers, skills, and special abilities may favor each of these entries. Second, some of these characters can be considered anti-heroes or anti-villains, but to make things simpler, we are going to consider each entry as a villain. Third, I not included any of the riders from the internet series. Those kinds of characters deserve their own video. And fourth, I haven't watched Kids yet, so if any of their characters may fit in this ranking, let me know at the comments below. With nothing else to add, let's start. Number 10. Kamen Rider Eternal. Some villains used to be like any other regular person, with small dreams and simple pleasures, until tragedy inadvertently changed them forever. Which is the case for Katsumi Daido. Once a sweet young boy gets turned into an undead person by his own mother after an accident put an end to his life. Little she knew it that her boy would slowly change into a devil. As Eternal, Daido became someone ruthless and with a raging desire to take revenge on those responsible for ruining his life and making others like him suffer. He may sound dreadful, but he's only in the 10th place, because even if his methods are brutal, they came from the desire to protect others and avenge the people he holds dear. The only reason why this went brutally bad was because of a Dopan. In his solo movie, this Dopan murdered in an instant all the people he swore to protect, which started the events of both of his movie appearances. Think about it, would any of you be in a bad mental state after witnessing what he witnessed? It was a living hell, and he was willing to start his own hell in Fudo City.
俺は仮面ライダーだ。仮面ライダーエターナル。
世界には僕たちの想像も超える素晴らしいお宝が眠っている。僕はその全てをこの手に入れたいんだ。
Next is Kamen Rider The End. Not every character in this ranker wants to destroy humanity or conquer the world. Some of them just want a treat that comes with doing something out of the norm, which is the case for Daiki Kaito, a trans-dimensional thief who travels through different worlds trying to steal whatever he considers their most valuable treasure. So much that he even stole the driver that he uses for his henshin. He used to be your normal law enforcer, quitting his position after finding out that his brother was brainwashed and forced to serve for a corrupted system. Exiled from his world, Kaito spent most of his time stealing the goods from any world he came across, until he crossed paths with Decay. This relationship was as rocky and tricky as you may imagine. So, if he's an ally to the main hero, how can he be worse than Eternal? Well, that's because of a tiny factor. In the first superhero Taisen movie, The End stole a device that was specifically designed to destroy any rider or any Sentai. And only because Tsukasa lied about his intentions during the events of this movie, he tried to destroy each of the heroes only so he could be considered the #1 hero. Jeez, talking about being vengeful towards a smart argument, and that's not even considering all the troubles he made for the cake while he was stealing some loot. I don't know about you guys, but anyone who tries to get rid of our tokusatsu heroes needs to be being considered as a villain.
Kamen Rider.
司、見ていたまえ。これが僕の戦い方だ。変身。
Sociopath Tomb Raider, Kamen Rider Kaitza is next. A character that surely causes lots of polarizing thoughts for us as viewers and for the characters of Kamen Rider Phase. Masato Kusaka at first glance looks like your average do-gooder that will do everything to support his friend Mary and get the world free of the menace of the Orphnots. But in reality, he's a downright psychopath who manipulates others in order to take advantage of them and turns into an aggressive and spiteful person to whoever gets in his way, whether ally or foe. This behavior comes as the result of being an orphan, abused by his peers and used as a guinea pig by his caretakers. He grows into a revengeful person who will treat anyone he dislikes and badmouth whoever gets close to Mary. So much that in several occasions he has been close to kill Takumi only for being really close to her. However, he does have some redeeming qualities, due to the fact that he doesn't treat Mary as a trophy, but as someone he genuinely loves and sees her as some kind of foster mother, even if this love comes more as an obsession, and he seems to really appreciate some of his old classmates. Even though he's far from a noble hero, he's willing to put his differences aside to ally himself with Face whenever the situation requires it. He only managed to run this low just for a few grazing points. The next entries have done far worse than just attempting or threatening others.
だったら君が死んで俺が生きるのは当然のことだよな。やるよ。君のためにね。
今から俺が本当の強さというものを見せてやる。
Following up comes Kamen Rider Baron. I can see your fingers pointing at me, but hear me out, hear me out. Kumon Kaito may have been an important ally for Gain and the rest of the Armored Riders, but just as many times as he joins hands with them, he crosses swords with them, which came as a result of his conviction of the survival of the fittest. After a tragedy in his childhood made his father lose his job, being cast aside by the biggest corporation in the city, he vows to one day obtain the power necessary to stand against them, until he finally obtained it. As Baron, Kaito was ruthless in battle and cold towards anyone he considered weak, but despite that, he did share some surprising noble qualities. Despite his rivalry with Gain, he had respect for him and his values. He abandoned his teammates, not for a lack of appreciation, but for a genuine care to avoid them from being involved in the Rider Wars. He even has a soft spot towards kids, who he encourages to be strong and brave in order to overcome anything. Unfortunately, these qualities aren't enough for taking him away from this ranking. Near the end of the game series, Baron's determination for power went as far as to turn himself into an overlord, planning to use his near-godly powers to remake the world into one where only people who use rage as a source of power will be able to survive and never have to suffer. Personally, I really like his character, but that doesn't change the fact that he attempted to terraform the entire planet, and the less he say about the actor who played him, the better.
今の人間では決して実現できない世界を俺がこの手で作り上げる。ラッパーアイト
ドーム様。
arguably considered a rider, next comes Shadow Moon. This one may be a one-note character, but he sure solidified the concept of what evil riders are about. Formerly known as Nobuhiko Akizuki, he was adopted by Gorgon along with his stepbrother to be turned into their creation king. After hatching from his cocoon, he quickly became their leader, passing from a kind young man to a cold and arrogant tyrant, obsessed with defeating Kamen Rider Black. Even after his mind was altered, Nobuhiko managed to barely retain some of his humanity, as being shown in some of his encounters with Black, when he had a chance to steal Black's source of power, but ultimately refused to do it. Even during the events of the follow-up series, in which his memories were erased after being revived, instead of killing his former rival, he ended up aiding him, but dying once again in the process. Some may consider this placement a bit of a stretch, but Shadow Moon demonstrated that you don't need to have the most complex backstory in order to be an intimidating foe, and not many riders had been able to rule over the organization that created them.
南光太郎、いや仮面ライダーブラック、信彦。
さあ今こそ神の中の神になる時。
Starting the top 5 enters Kamen Rider Gem, known by many names. Dan Kuroto was the former CEO of Gen Corp, who acted as the main provider of many of the devices used during the run of Kamen Rider XA. Acting as a supposed good-hearted person with a passion for developing games, he quickly gains the trust of many of the characters. However, this passion will eventually grow into an obsession and a superiority complex. When he was a kid, he sent a gadget which contained the Buster virus to a young Emu, which accidentally ended up infecting his mother as well. Desperate to find a way to save her, he unleashed the events of the Zero Day as a way to obtain the Busters and to start the developing of the Kamen Rider Chronicle game, framing his father in the process. This act will create a chain of events that little by little drive him into madness, using his position as a CEO to manipulate each of the riders into completing his game project, to the extent to even create a gadget for himself that nearly gives him immortality, overpowering every of the riders and killing one of them in the process, something that not even the previous entries managed to accomplish. Gen is pretty much what you obtain when you take insanity into a higher stage. After being defeated and revived, his modus operandi doesn't change that much, wanting to aid his former enemies not as a way to repent for his previous actions, but to eliminate the person who stole his company. The only thing that hinders his ranking is the fact that the original purpose of the Chronicle game was to bring back each of the people infected by the Buster virus, and perhaps the fact that he manages to behave better as a person after seeing some resemblance of his deceased mother in Poppy, but just by a little. At least we can agree that he makes us laugh.
私は
俺はもう一人のお前さ。もう一人の自分だよ。俺を受け入れろ。俺たちが一つになれば最強のライダーになる。ミラーワールドからのライダー、龍が。
The being known as Dark Shinji is Kamen Rider Ryuga. Not having too many appearances, one would think that his position here is strange. But trust me, there is plenty of reasons when you dive deep into this character. A doppelganger of Ryuki, Ryuga is a cruel, scheming being who desires to stay indefinitely into his host's body and possess him. While other riders are independent, Ryuga is a reflection of Shinji's inner darkness and depends on him in order to exist. Therefore, as long as Ryuki exists, Ryuga will exist as well, making him a kind of semi-immortal being. He has little care for others, and is willing to kill anyone to obtain his wish. He killed 2 riders and severely injures Shinji's friend in his last appearance. When he gets turned into another rider in the events of the CO series, he quickly tries to eliminate anyone who was related to Shinji and almost takes over Shinji's mind. He only was able to be stopped after Shinji decided to accept him as a part of himself, and supposedly he can combat in any given time. Other riders may be able to be befriended or defeated, but Ryuga is a cruel reminder that sometimes the worst enemy isn't other but yourself. Whenever Shinji may feel extremely depressed or doubtful, Ryuga may resurface once again and start all of this over and over again. Whoa, talking about a problem that you can never truly run away from.
Henshin.
Now, imagine having the insanity of Gem, and now multiply that for 1000.
That's a big pickle.
私こそが社長。今こそ審判の時。
Kamen Rider Chronos. Unbeknownst to everyone in the Heisei series, Chronos made quite the impression. Being introduced at the first half of the Kamen Rider Chronicle arc, he quickly became a feared antagonist amongst both heroes and villains. With his powers to stop time, he managed not only to defeat one of the monster bosses, but permanently erase him. Not satisfied with being the strongest rider, he set his goals into stealing his son's company and conquering Earth by committing mass genocide by storing any person he defeated as data in a computer. Dan Masamune was the original president of Gen Corp. Being the father of Dan Kuroto, he always tried to take advantage of all his son's creations. I previously mentioned that he was incarcerated, but that was only to use Kuroto's genius to make the company grow stronger. So one day he could take back everything and start his delusional plans. Even after his son's supposed death, he only cared about taking advantage of the situation to continue his quest for the ultimate power. He not only was powerful, but he has even more devious manipulation skills than Gem. He blackmailed Brave into becoming his right-hand man. He revived Laser only to be used as a henchman as well. And he saw everything that his son created as his belonging, wanting to dispose of anything he considered a failure product, both monsters and humans. If that's not a messed up record, I don't know what it is. Even after being defeated multiple times by Heisei and the other riders, Cronus was a sore loser, to the point to even absorb the final boss of the Chronicle game to obtain an upgrade and infect the entirety of the world with the game disease. Emu, being both the hero and the doctor he is, tried to give him a last chance after their final battle, but Masamune was so arrogant that he decided to kill himself before admitting his defeat. Kuroto may be a mess, but Cronus is the ultimate control freak. Heck, originally I wanted to give him the first place. However, I have to back down for two small factors. He apparently, for a time, genuinely loved his deceased wife, and after the events of the Gen Presidents, he somehow manages to make peace with his son. Yep, that just happened. Please don't ask.
Shh. 審判の時よ。 厳粛でなければならない。変身。
My personal favorite, but only reaching second, goes to Kamen Rider Ouya. While most of the riders until this point wanted stuff like conquering, stealing, disposing, or plainly being evil just because, the criminal Takeshi Asakura is everything but a joke. The wildest card drawn at the midst of the rider battle was an individual who only wanted to make others suffer and feel the thrill that comes with making anyone scream in pain. There's not a specific reason for this behavior. Some men aren't looking for anything logical like money. They can be both bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn. At age 13, Asakura murdered his parents in an act of arson, leaving his only younger brother as the sole survivor. Ever since that accident, he was known as someone sadistic with a love for fighting, tormenting and destroying anyone that came across at his random fits of rage. After becoming Ouya, he quickly enjoyed his time as a rider, loving clashing with each of the other riders, being the first one committing into killing them. Not satisfied with that, he even stole 2 of the contract monsters from the riders he murders, and he even claimed wanting to use his wish to restart the rider battle, to enjoy fighting and killing all of them again. Ouya may not be as powerful as the other riders, but he's the most thirsty for blood. Remember that brother that I previously mentioned? Well, he managed to be adopted by some relatives, and he re-encounters with Asakura. It seemed that he had some genuine care for his younger brother, only so he could finally finish what he started, quickly summoning his contract beast to devour him. Yikes! Not even Cronus tried to devour his own son. Or did he do it? This isn't a fellow you would want to see in a closed street at a dark night.
なるほど。ライダーになるのは面白いな。イライラがすっかり消えた。
And the winner for most diabolical, sociopath, and twisted rider goes to...
お前は仮面ライダーエボル。俺にしか使えないこのボトルとドライバーでパンドラボックスの真の力を手に入れる。
Kamen Rider Evil. Oof. Trying to list all the stuff that this guy did could make its own video, so I'll be brief. So far, we had sociopaths, thieves, doppelgangers, and straightforward psychopaths, but none of them come close as accomplishing their goals like the being known as extraterrestrial lifeform Evolto, who has been a threat not only to Earth but to countless other planets. A manipulator, ruthless, cruel, and aggressive being who committed all kinds of heinous acts all across the cosmos. He manipulated both heroes and villains alike for his twisted needs, having no qualms about killing them once they served their purpose. Evolto was born on planet Blood after his older brother destroyed their home world. Evolto managed to escape with an artifact known as the Pandora Bots, using it to annihilate many planets and consume their energy to grow in power. After he reaches Mars, he unleashed a black hole that ended the lives of all their inhabitants, with the exception of Queen Bernache, who used the last of her power to destroy his body and seal what was left of him inside the bots. After the bots was found by an astronaut, Evolto snatched his body. Infiltrating on Earth, he tries to destroy the planet, but only ends up dividing Japan into 3 countries. Determined to continue his plans, he uses the memories of his host body to manipulate the astronaut's daughter to purify the nebula gas into full bottles, using it to recover his powers. He experimented on humans and even creates his own nemesis by implanting the memories of one of his scientists into a random person. To further hide his threats, he acted as a calm, quirky, and wise mentor who secretly planted the seeds of chaos and mistrust among the build cast until he eventually regains his alien form. To regain his strength, he used anyone he could as a vessel body, and after reobtaining the Pandora bots, he almost destroys Earth and kills most of the people dear to Sento. Kamen Rider Evolve may not have done as many things on screen as the other riders, but he clearly did way more behind the curtains than any other character. He may have been defeated, but even after all was done, he managed to survive, and probably will try to initiate his plans once again in another planet. So, for all of that and more, he deserves the highest spot in this list.
あらゆる星を吸収して俺だけの宇宙を作るそれが新世界だ
Well, that's the ranking. What do you think? Are these any of your favorite Evo riders? Do you think I left out anyone? How would you rank them? Let me know at the comments below. Feel free to make fun of my accent, and hopefully I will be seeing you guys soon. Peace!
己ディケイド